Hey, what's up, y'all? This is Jay from Will's VG Addiction. What we have here is a Nintendo 64 that was wrecked. I had, at some point in my amateur life, decided I was going to pull the ports off of this, the controller ports, and I did a terrible job. But what's even more important, that's fixable easily. What's more important is this thing has no picture, no signal, no nothing, right? Power's on, nothing on the TV, which is why I was able to, or which is why I felt like it was okay for me to salvage these ports. So I've been on a little bit of a kick fixing N64s lately. We're going to find out what's wrong with this bad boy, and we are going to fix it. Alright folks, full disclosure here, I'm probably not going to finish this tonight. It's already after 11 o'clock, and I got to get up for work early tomorrow. So we're at least going to take a look at what's going on underneath all this and see if this is fixable. My guess is that there's going to be some corrosion around one of the chips, and it's breaking the connection, and that's why it's not working. So I fixed a couple of these in the past the last week or so. Had a very similar issue where there was corrosion around the chip. I had to repair a couple traces, good as new. One was a little perplexing, and unfortunately I didn't do any sort of video on it, but these two screws right here were causing a short that prevented the system from powering on. So remove the screws and it worked fine. Very bizarre, but just something to take note of if you happen to have an issue. I don't know what the issue was there. I couldn't figure it out, and to be honest with you, I'd messed around with it so much, screwing it, unscrewing it, and at one point I noticed that it would power on and it played fine without the shielding on, but then when I screwed everything in and had the shielding on, it would not power on. It would short out my power supply. So I took all the screws out and I did them one by one to see which one was causing the problem, and it happened to be both of these. So just FYI, if you ever have any sort of issue like that, try that. Maybe one of the screws is somehow shorting against the metal on there. I don't know. Anyway, let's remove this. And of course, as always, ignore the mess going on around here because I do not keep a kempt desk at all. Ever, apparently. And something to note, if you haven't taken one of these apart before, note that these two screws are unique as far as the ones on the shielding, and then these two are unique as well. These match, so just be aware of that. These have like a little washer on there. The other two are darker, and then these are all the same. Alright, that's going to be twat, of course. And of course my desk is a mess, so I can't find my other screwdriver. Great. Outstanding. Oh, shit. It's around here somewhere. I'm gonna, right there. Damn, that fucker's really on there. Jeez. Make sure that these. These screws are really on there. That makes me think there is some sort of corrosion that maybe, if these are that stuck on there, something may have caused some problems in the past. Well, let's get the rest of them off first. Nope, not gonna work. You scum. Alright, so I couldn't get that screw off. This thing just popped right off though. I guess maybe I shouldn't even, I don't know, maybe I didn't even need to do that. Just pop those off and whatever. Alright, so let's take a look at what we got going on here. Let's zoom in some. And then we'll look underneath this microscope a little bit later. These do have to come off though, so I can actually see what's going on. Ooh. That's not, it's not good. That chip came right the fuck off. That could be why it doesn't work. Interesting. I don't know. I don't think I want to mess with this tonight, actually. Maybe I'll just tackle this another time, but this chip just popped right off. Like, no resistance or anything, and there's no legs on there at all. Are they on the bottom of this fucking thing? Nope. Where's the other one at? That's insane. There's nothing on there either. That could possibly be why this fucker doesn't work, and it's got all kinds of nastiness on there. I don't see any major corrosion just yet, but as far as corrosion is concerned, I don't see anything else. I do have a parts board I can use. Thing is, some of these models have one large chip like this instead of the two smaller chips. I don't think that one had two small chips. I think it had just the one, but usually this is where I see the corrosion that causes problems, like right along this area here and this area here, but I don't see that. This, certainly a problem. So before I get any deeper, I'm going to take a look at this a little bit deeper later on, probably not today. I'll check the other board that I have and see if that has one or two chips, but I'm pretty sure it's one. But I want to give a shout out to my main man at PunkNDisorderlyGamer. Real good dude, does some really good repair videos. I actually learned from him. I had no idea that this fucking cart connector actually comes off with a, well, can't do it with one hand apparently, but had no idea. All these years I've been working on fucking game systems, and my camera's falling. I had no idea that this thing just pops right off. Oh my god, and that's absolutely disgusting. Can we take a closer look at that? This is why I wear gloves, by the way. Fucking gross. I don't even know what all that nastiness is, but yeah. Almost certainly like bug parts of some sort. Sorry. Just like knocking the camera. Yeah, but this thing is disgusting. Look at that. Probably a good reason why this thing didn't work, so I don't know. I guess I'm going to stop tonight. We'll pick this up another time, but I'll just clean off the grossness on the board and make sure I'm prepped for another day. Alright folks, so I got a few minutes to work on this board while my dinner is in the oven. I have ultrasonically cleaned this board and it still looks pretty shitty. Real quick, I'm just going to try to resolder these 2 points on this chip that came up while I was taking the heat shielding off. So it's only 4 solder points, oddly enough. I thought it was more, but looking at some other boards, it's just 2 for some reason. I'm going to try cleaning that up, doing a little quick resoldering. I'm going to test it out, and I'll probably mess with this a little bit more later on tonight. So it's just these 2 points here and these 2 points over here. We're going to go ahead and push this down and see if this actually fixes our issue. I'm going to say it's highly unlikely, but who knows? Who knows? I don't know why I put flux all over this entire side. I should have done that. That was kind of silly. Getting a little excessive here, but that's fine. Make sure I don't bridge anything. I'll clean that up in a sec, but I just want to make sure it has a good connection first. Got a little excessive there. That was a bumble. Let's try that again. That looks okay right there. I'll just put a little bit more. This is a little kind of hard to work with at this angle. Let's see, can you all still see? Yes. Okay. That looks alright, not great, but alright. Go ahead and clean that area up, and then we'll give it a good test. You know what I may do though? Before I test it out, let's take a look at the rest of the board. I know there was some corrosion on one of these chips somewhere. And it doesn't hurt just to kind of look at everything, make sure there's no leaky caps or anything like that, which I don't see. But this chip, I think, let's see, what is that? Is that just filter or is that corrosion? I would think that that would come off during the cleaning, but not so much. For a board that was ultrasonically clean, this does not look all that clean. I gotta change my water out, I guess. It's looking a little grimy anyway. That doesn't look too bad. So everything else seems to look pretty decent. And then these solder points. Yeah. Should be fine. And then I'll also look down here at the AV input and just make sure that nothing is looking broken. Pull that back some. No cold joints or anything like that. Alright, let's give this a quick test. And this part connector was pretty disgusting too. Take a look at that real quick while we're at it. Still not perfect. It still seems to be quite a bit of filth in there. It's kind of hard to see underneath the microscope through the viewfinder, but there's some filth in there. Right, yeah. Like cat hair or something. Or just dust. Yeah, there's all kinds of shit in there. I'm gonna, ugh. Y'all see that? Probably not. Oh, man. There's all kinds of filth right in this area here. I'll blow it out with the air compressor. That looks fucking disgusting in there. It's so hard to see in the viewfinder, but it's definitely there. See it right up in that area. Alright, so we've got our game system that's been cleaned. It's had those two solder points on that chip right there resoldered and reattached. I don't think that's going to fix the problem, to be honest with you, but let's take a look and find out. Huh. Son of a bitch. Well, I guess it did. I'm actually really surprised. So, now that we got the system working, the next order of business is to go ahead and fix these controller ports which, like I said, I savagely ripped off because this thing wasn't working at all before, and I needed controller ports, and I didn't do a good job at all. This was back in my more amateur days. We got some pads missing there, so that will be the next order of business. I've got a couple shitty boards that are just fucking toast. So much corrosion. I mean, I could totally fix them if I put in the time, but it's not really worth the time. This is much easier to fix. We know this board works. It's in fairly good condition now that it's clean. We'll repair those and we will move this along. So now we proceed to the box of parts to find the shittiest board that we have, and that would be this one. So there was a little bit too much corrosion on this one to fix. Pretty disgusting. But, I mean, I'm sure I could have fixed it, but it would have taken way too long. Anyway, this is gross. Couldn't fix it. We're going to pull these controller ports off, and we're going to fix the other one. Alright, so this part is pretty rudimentary. Very, very simple stuff. Stuff that everybody's probably seen before. We're going to remove these ports. No big deal. Got myself a new bench power supply today. I haven't had a chance to use it yet, but I'm looking forward to that. No more jump starting motors with 9-volt battery. That'll be exciting. So I'm going to add some leaded solder to all these points to make them easier to desolder. As bizarre as that sounds to some people, it works. So. And these points here are pretty thick, so they're kind of hard to desolder with the unleaded stuff. It's just so much, they melt. The solder melts at such a much higher temperature when it's unleaded, and these pins are pretty thick, so it makes it a little difficult to get this stuff off, which is why I'm doing this. So obviously it doesn't have to be neat. We'll grab the old desoldering gun, which I'm sure I'm going to have to unclog because there's so much solder on here now, and just do some desoldering. Pop right off. That's great. Now, if you do this kind of work, this is a Hakko FR301. This thing is so much nicer than trying to desolder with one of those damn pumps or desoldering braid for stuff like this. I mean, desoldering braid still has its uses, but those pumps are terrible. This makes your life a whole lot easier, trust me. Will this one pop right off? Not quite. It's the plastic piece that's got it stuck. There we go. Yeah. There's a couple little plastic tabs on there, and that plastic part was stuck, so whatever. It's not required, but it's there to help with the stability. So these ports, they are specific to each side. So you've got a left and a right side, and they're just angled differently. So if you want to, let's say you have one of these ports that is chipped, On the right side, you can't take it off a system that has a left side port and think you're going to stick it on there. They're specific to each side, which is kind of annoying. But all right, so what we have here, we have a chunk of, what is that, solder pad? That needs to come off. My flush pad. Still have shit all over my table, but what is that? I don't even know what that is, but plastic piece is going to have to come out. Actually, that doesn't look that bad. I'll get back down on the bottom side. So we'll go ahead and clean some of this stuff up. Get some braid. Empty some of those holes out. Yeah, we'll have to do a couple of trace repairs, but not anything crazy. Oh yeah, on this side the traces are pretty bad, but not unfixable. Try to center that again. I have no idea how I fucked this up. I really don't remember. I know I did this while I was in Japan, and I did not have a desoldering gun at the time. I don't know if I had. I think I still had one of those stupid plastic pumps, and somehow I got frustrated or something like that and just fucked it up. I don't remember. A long time ago. But we're much better than that now, so I'm finally going to get around to fixing it. Resetting and starting again. No big deal. It happens. So with stuff like this, make sure you're heating the pad and the pin at the same time. That pin or that pad is a little shifty, and that has kind of come up, so we want to make sure that let's try to slide that down now. We'll probably run a wire there anyway, because that one's coming up a little bit. That's fine. No big deal. Alright, that should be good enough, I believe. We'll test continuity and all that, but for this one for sure, we're going to run a wire on this one. Just to be secure, and this one as well. And let's do the other one. What I'm doing here is I take these chunks of solder, I unravel it from the spool, and I just use those instead of carrying the whole spool around and moving that around because it's heavy. And then when I get down to the end, I'll just kind of solder them together. Kind of silly and ridiculous, but maybe a little wasteful. I don't know. Try not to be wasteful though. Alrighty. Where's the other port? Make sure it's flush, push it down as best as we can. There's no pads on that side, so that's not good. We'll just do this side then. Yeah, there's no, well, there's a little bit of a pad there. Let's get back underneath the microscope because we can't see. Yeah, there's very little pad there. That's alright, no biggie. We'll fix that. We'll fix it. We fix everything. That should be good enough. It's just ground anyway. what in the world happened here? Alright, so we need a line from here to where? I'm gonna have to look back at the other board to see what's over there. Clean it up a little bit, that kind of help us see what we're doing. So what goes where? On this, on the good board, or what's the good board now? We got basically all three of these on this side that are missing. And then the two of these on the opposite side over here that need to be tightened up. That's easy though, because I can see where those go. So, like I said, this one will go to this resistor here. And this one goes to this point here. I'm just going to verify if that point goes. I should probably just solder to the point. Let me test for continuity there and just make sure it doesn't go to that resistor too. Because if it does, I can just solder to both and make sure it's super secure that way. So I can solder to both the point and the resistor, make sure that's extra secure. And then this one goes down to this point and this resistor, yeah? Yeah. Alright. Awesome. Looks like it's going to be an easy day then. So this one will go here. This one will go here. Should be good to go. Where does this one go? Yeah, I guess I'm going to have to do that one too. Let me just verify back on this one. I don't think that goes to anything actually. Is that ground? That is ground. So take a look at this and just make sure it actually goes to the ground plane. So that's good. Even though it looks like shit, it's good. And let's see, with this one being that the points are a little bit thicker than what I normally do. Like if I do a trace repair, I usually use that thin wire, that 38 gauge wire. With these, I think I'm just going to go ahead and use some regular ass, what is this, what do I have? I don't know what gauge this is, but this is what I'm going to use. Let me see that. It's fairly thick, and it's, yeah, it's fairly thick, so that should be just fine. Let's see, let's measure this off. So this, well, here's what I'll do. Easiest way to do it, I think. Pull the ends off of this thing. Solder to that one side. Let me get a little flux going on here. Find my thing. My desk is always such a mess. I can never find anything. It's absolutely terrible. How do I work like this? I have no idea. I clean it up and then it becomes a mess like almost instantaneously. And the flux is right here in front of my face. Unbelievable. Alright, so what we'll do, let's adjust this camera just a little. Alright, so we'll start with the point on the inside, just because I feel like it'd be easier to do that. Where's my solder? Make sure we solder to those pins. We didn't do that. And I'll have to find a way to secure this side too, so it doesn't come up later. And what I mean by secure is just like if it gets wobbled or whatever, we want to make sure like when you pull the controller point in and out, all this stays secure and doesn't come up at some point later on. So this one, let's see, what did I say? This one goes. Dang it, I've already fucking forgotten. Let's see. From here to second, let's say F. Let's see. Why does that look different? Because it is different. Okay, so this one on here goes. All right. Oh, I'm just disoriented, I guess. Put a little bit more solder there. Put this right about here. Right there. Trim that end just a little bit. Not trim it, but get the insulation off of there. Adjust the camera so that you can actually see what the hell we're doing. Can you all see what I'm doing now? That's the key there. So this will go here. We want to make sure we get it on the point and the resistor as well, just for extra security. So that looks good. And then we'll do the same with the pin next to it. You know, when I bought this camera, or when I bought this microscope, I was under the impression that I was going to be able to see what you guys see in the viewfinder, and that is far from the case. Like, it is so far off, it's ridiculous. I got to keep on looking up, keep on adjusting. It's so annoying. So I think what I might do is just like hot glue the ends of these. I know it's very amateur, but hot glue these 2 points right here once I'm done soldering. Just to, you know, add some extra anchor to the pins, so that it's not like jerked around later on and doesn't come loose. So this one goes which side? Let me verify again, because it's kind of hard to tell where it goes exactly. C104. What is capacitor? So it would seem the board that I'm using is a little bit different. The one that I pulled these off of. Or maybe I'm just an idiot. That could be possible too. It's weird. Nope, it sure isn't. So the board, yeah, it sure is. Okay. So this board that I'm taking the ports off of, You can see that. So this is the one that has the one chip here instead of two, and the layout here is just a little bit different. So being that these traces are all fucked up, it's kind of hard to see on the board that I'm working on. So I was trying to use the other one as a reference, and that's not really working because it's not the same. So this will go here. Alright, this is where we just use our brain. Stop trying to cheat by looking at the other board. Just focus more on what we're doing here. If that makes any sense. Probably not. Alright. I'd probably trim that just a little bit, actually. So I stripped a little bit more than I normally would, and I'm going to trim it as necessary, if necessary. I don't think I will. Yeah, I should. Probably should. Take about that much off. We don't need. I don't know if you guys like the longer videos. I prefer to do longer videos and don't like having like background music and junk. Just because like this is the type of stuff that I like to watch to relax when I watch these sorts of things. So that's kind of how I want to do it. I don't think everybody is going to enjoy a 30-minute repair video, but let me know what you think about that kind of thing, because that's not something I plan on changing anytime soon. I plan on just kind of taking my time as I'm doing these and going through the process. I just feel like it's, I don't know, I feel like if you're going to learn from it, this is the way you learn, not from like some 10-minute video with loud music in the background and a whole bunch of jump cuts or sped up video. I really don't like that, but I mean, to each their own. Obviously, it's just not for me. So with these, let's see, I think I'm going to go ahead and use a thinner wire for that, just because the trace is there. I just want to make sure, like absolutely sure it's making contact. I'm sure it is, so I don't feel like the need to use a thick ass wire, so I'm not going to. So I'm going to use this thin wire here, and like I said, I'm just reinforcing and making absolutely 100% sure we're getting contact where we need to get it. And of course, this is enameled wire, so if it touches any other points, it's not going to matter, except where we heat it up. So let's cut this right about there. And roll that spool so the stuff isn't loose and all over the place. So again, this one is just not for anchoring, just for absolute security, making sure it's 100% making contact like it's supposed to. So I'm sure it is, but just to be 100% sure. It's a little bit of neuroticism, I guess. Ah, god damn it. That would happen. It's fine, we'll fix it in a second. Let's get this point secured first. Y'all can see what I'm doing, right? Just making sure. Not yet. Let's pull up that second. And I will fully admit, and I think I say this a lot of times when I do these videos, this is not my best work. Not at all. I'm just trying to make sure it's functional. I don't really care how it looks. This is going to go up in one of the Facebook groups I just joined for a small pittance. Just kind of see what I can do to make some connections, make some friends, some buddies, or whatever. I don't care about making the money. I mean, I pretty much wrote these off as junk anyway. And I only bought them for like, I probably paid more than, or no more than $3 a piece for each of these consoles that I've taken parts from. So we're talking about $6. $6 fucking dollars. I'm not going to ask a lot for that. Alright, I think we're good. We'll test the continuity. I'm going to swap out that LED too, just because I like doing that. See what colors we got and go from there. So from here, cool, and just kind of make sure everywhere else that we got continuity like we should. Alright, that's good. From here to here, here to here. This is ground, ground, here to here, here to here, ground. Good to go, baby. Alright, let's change out this LED and then we're going to do a test. Let me stop these videos real quick because when the files get big, it becomes hard to transfer over to my computer. Alright, so I've decided on a white LED. Let's see. So when you're looking at the little diagram thing in here, the way I always remember it is it's pointing to the negative side. And then you look here. Probably can't see that all that great with all this crud here. But this line right here is going towards the voltage, so that's going to be your positive. Right? Is that right? Or do I sound like an idiot? No, that's correct. Position this thing just where it needs to be, right about there. Bend these legs. I think that's about right. Add a little bit of soda. A little bit of soda. Yeah, those pads are kind of not so much there anymore either. Jesus, this board is just a mess. But that's alright. It will be working. That's all that matters. So I'm going to go ahead and clean this up. And just because I don't like the flux of crap all over my pad. I mean, it's not like it's hard to clean, but how often do I clean it? Not very. Spray a little bit of alcohol down here on all the affected areas. I'm not going to use a toothbrush just because I don't want to unnecessarily loosen stuff up, but yeah, let's go ahead and clean that up with a paintbrush. And honestly, look at how horrible those solder balls are. The blobs, it's fucking terrible. If we can get some focus in there a little bit. Not really. The lighting in here stinks. Let me pull that back. Yeah, you kind of see it there, but it's not hot. That that ground pin right there, there's not a whole lot of pad left, which is why the blob on there is so big. I just want to make sure it makes contact. So I think we're good to go. We'll give it a quick test, and then I think I'm going to go ahead and put some solder mask on there, and like I said, maybe just glue a little bit of that down so that if these get knocked around a little bit, it doesn't knock it loose. I don't think it will, but just to be safe, you know, just to be safe. Fucking turbo EverDrive in there. We got 4 random controllers. Sorry the angle's not so hot, but I mean, it's what I got going on right now. Let's give her a test. We're gonna play a little bit of that WWF. WrestleMania. Making sure everything's right. So, for me, this will be my go-to game for 4 players. Not only because it's a great game, but because it's easier, or it's one of the easiest games to test 4 controllers with for me. And again, it's enjoyable. It's one of the few N64 games I actually like. In fact, this game was the reason I bought an N64 back in the day. Let's make it happen, folks. So it's a good sign. All the buttons seem to be working so far. Just skip all this. So that's good. Player 2. There we go. Player 3. Cool. Player 4. Good to go. So we're in business, folks. Okay, so I think we're good to go. We're going to test it a little bit more off camera. But, I mean, as you can see, everything seems to work so far. The LED looks good. I think we're in business. So I will report back probably tomorrow with an update. I'll have this thing all put together after some more testing, but seems good to go so far. Alright, ladies and gentlemen, this is the next day. My work day has ended, so I'm tinkering with this thing a little bit more. I did implement some of that UV mask. Again, not really the prettiest thing in the world. However, I decided not to do any sort of gluing or whatever. I feel like this is sufficient. Again, it doesn't look great, however, it is functional, and that's all that really matters. And, of course, with many of these N64s that are in my junk pile, they've been written off as junk, and at this point, you know, if I paid $3 for them, and I can get, I don't know, 25, I'm good. I don't need to get max money for this stuff. I'm going to power this on shortly. I'm just going to make sure that it's in the casing somewhat sternly, and I'll do some strength tests and just make sure everything's still good to go. Then I'll wrap it up as best as I can. What I am missing, though, I can't seem to find an extra reset button, so I've got to go through all of this junk to find me a reset button, which I can't assume is going to happen anytime soon. So this will probably just sit on the shelf for a while until I come across one eventually. Got a little involved in playing a little WWF WrestleMania 2000. Didn't record any of it, that's fine. You all seen it before anyway. But controller ports work fine, no issues. So I'm going to go ahead and wrap this up and say thanks for watching. Catch you next time. Peace out.